In today's lesson, we're going over a very important guitar technique called hammer-on. And hammer-ons are when we sound a note by tapping on the string or hammering on the string. And there are two applications for hammer-ons. The first one is speed. So here's a scale and I'll pluck every single note. If I were to add some hammer-ons, I can get faster. It's a lot easier to build speed. The hammer-ons add a different inflection. If I pluck every single note, it kind of sounds a little bit squared. Everything is articulated. Whereas when I play it with hammer-ons, it kind of rounds the edges. So that takes us to the second application of hammer-ons, which is using it as an expressive device. Here's a melody, and I'll pluck every single note. If I add some hammer-ons, it will sound a lot more expressive. So there are two reasons for us to master hammer-ons. One is speed, the other is for expression. In musical terms, we have ascending slurs, which are hammer-ons, and descending slurs, we use a different technique called pull-offs. And in today's lesson, we're going over hammer-ons. In the next episode, we'll cover pull-offs. We're going to be using two exercises to practice our hammer-on. The first exercise will focus on the tapping element, so just tapping with our fingers. And the second exercise will be playing a hammer-on, which is following a plucked note. So we pluck and hammer, pluck and hammer. So let's go over into the first exercise. In this first exercise, we're going to be practicing the tapping or the hammering. And we're going to break it down into 3 steps. So step 1 will be to set your finger at the correct height and distance away from the string. Step 2 will be to tap in that corner just before the metal line, just before the fret line. And step 3 will be to release the tension without letting go of the string. So step 1, set your finger. Step 2, tap. Step 3, release the tension. Let's have a look at these 3 steps in detail. So step 1 is to set your finger at the correct height and distance away from the string. Now we're going to be tapping on the 3rd fret, so string 6, which is this G here. So set your finger at about 3 fingers away from that spot, from that fret, in line with the 6th string, so that the middle of the pad sits over the string once we tap. Now notice that if you do this, you'll get a little mark across the pad of your finger, and you want that line to be in the middle of the pad, okay, so that it's not kind of in the edge where your nail is and not too low. So you can practice that place. Okay, so in the middle of the pad. So we want to have the finger 3 fingers away from the string, and we're aiming for that corner just before the fret. We're not over the fret, because that will give us a muffled sound, and we're not in the middle of the fret either, so we're just before the metal line, okay? So we curl our finger in line with the string at the same height of string 6, so the middle of the pad hits the string at about 3 fingers away from the string. So that's step 1. Step 2 will be to strike, to tap. And what we want to do here is we just want to gather speed. It's the speed that gives us the sound. You don't have to apply too much force. Don't force the hammer-on. A lot of people think that to get the sound you need to apply a lot of force, and that's not so. What we need is speed. Okay. And as you tap, make sure that you are aiming for that place, that corner, that sweet spot. So step 1 is to set your finger, step 2 is to tap, and step 3 is to release the tension without letting go of the string. We don't want to let go of the string, because if we do, we get this sound. Okay? So we want to apply the hammer-on and then just let go of the tension. Now, as we move down, let's say we're moving into string 5, the thumb and the back of the neck will move down as well. Okay? So we don't want to be doing hammer-ons like this, because we will get a weaker hammer-on like that. We want to have the thumb in line with our fingers, sort of in between finger 1 and 2. So let's say we're going to tap on string 5. So in the back of the neck, our thumb is there, more or less in between our finger 1 and 2. Okay? So we're going to set our finger at the same height as string 5, aiming for that corner just before the fret, at about 3 fingers away. And we're going to tap, and then we're going to release the tension. And we're going to move down a little bit, set your finger, tap, and release the tension. So that's all we're going to do for the first exercise. And we're going to be practicing with every finger. Okay, with finger 1, finger 2, finger 3, and finger 4. And as we change to the second finger or to the third finger, you don't need to move your thumb sideways. You can keep your thumb in the same position, and the only difference is that you're using a different finger. In the second exercise, we're going to be practicing the hammer-ons in their most common way, which is following a plucked note. So we pluck, and then we do the tapping. And it sounds like this. So in this exercise, we're going to be exploring all of the permutations that we can get with the fingers. So 1 and 2, 1 and 3, 1 and 4, 2 and 3, 2 and 4, and 3 and 4. Okay, and it's interesting because as we move into the weaker fingers, which are 3 and 4, the hammer-ons become a lot more challenging. 1 and 2 is relatively easy, 1 and 3 also. But as we start using our 4th finger, it becomes more challenging, and it's nice to unlock those hammer-ons as well, to be able to play all the permutations. So we're gonna go down the string and then up. So the first permutation is between fingers 1 and 2. So set your finger 1 on the 5th fret of string 6. You pluck that note, and then you hammer onto the 6th fret. Then we're gonna go down a string to string 5. So string 5, fret 5, pluck that note, and then hammer onto the 6th fret. So you keep going down, then up. Once you get to the 5th string again, we're going to start a new permutation. So we've done 1 and 2. Next stop is 1 and 3. And we do the same. So pluck and then hammer. Once you get to string 5, we're going to start a new permutation. This time is 1 and 4. Okay, and as far as the tapping part, everything else is the same as per the previous exercise. We still want to set our finger in line with the spot that we're aiming, and remember to have your finger land on the middle of the pad over the string. And here you really have to gather speed. It's really not about force, it's about speed. One important aspect about this exercise is to keep the finger that you plucked, the plucked note, keep it down until you move down to the next string. So let's say in that first permutation, which is between 1 and 2, pluck, hammer, but keep that finger fixed onto the string. Hold on to that note. Don't do this. Don't lift off. Okay? Then you move down, hold that note, move down, hold that note. You will notice that in this exercise, because we're moving up and down, the thumb will move less on the back of the neck. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Before concluding this lesson with some final thoughts, I'd just like to let you know, for those of you that like a little bit more help with your hammer-ons, please head over to patreon.com/altguitar. I have put together a follow-up video where we slowly go through these exercises with on-screen tabs. There you also have access to other exclusive lessons and backing tracks. So just to kind of summarize what we discussed in terms of hammer-ons, make sure to keep your left hand nails short, right hand if you're a left hand player, because if you have long fingernails, it will prevent you from landing in the correct spot. Make sure that you land right before the fret, that your finger is arched, and that the string goes in the middle of the pad and leaves a mark somewhere in the middle of the pad. Okay. Also, it's important to remember that speed is what counts for the sound and not force. When we play a hammer-on after a plucked note, make sure that the plucked note is held. In other words, the finger is still holding on to the note after the hammer-on. That you're not lifting off like that. That's it for now, guys. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, and I look forward to seeing you in our next one. Bye bye for now.